Hi. So, um, in the world, this is something that just came to mind, and I just want to flow with what I thought of. So, in the world, it seems that there are three main types of mentalities within this, like jurisdiction or whatever you would call it. But there's lose lose, there's lose win, and then there's win win. And so lose lose, people like that, like all these people in general using common sense are a lot of them are hustlers. They'll have tons of strength and be good at what they do, but this is like beside that point, you know. Like win lose mentality. I know this is kind of a label, but win lose mentality is someone that a lot of times will hustle their ass off to really be competitive, to really compete extremely hard. And then what'll happen from there is their deal, like their thing is they enjoy and they feed off of other people's loss. And they're usually a little bit narcissistic. So they'll be very, very good at psychology and very, very good at things, but they just happen to, like, one thing about them is in their spirit, they enjoy being a winner and lording it over someone. They enjoy being on top of someone else. Not like that. But they enjoy that vibe of like the pie in the face for you. And they're too competitive. And this is something that they can go far in. They can go really far, but they have no remorse a lot of times with the karma associated with being kind of a little bit of a deviant bully. They don't really have much of any remorse or slack they cut for anyone when it comes down to a lot of people that have been to high school have probably seen some very congruent mentalities when it comes to this, as someone that just inflates their status in all kinds of ways, and they'll be very good at it, but when it comes to like very, very bright light beings and God himself, God herself, God, they are more on the win-win mentality. From everything that I've understood, God's on the win-win. He enjoys the ultimate team, like within thinking about humanity. Think about like humanity, you know? Just anyone is obviously human. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ or whatever type of deal, like something along those lines, like just really living in that mentality of like win-win. You know, so you actually don't enjoy those people in the win-win. They're good when they put work in. They're really good, but they have to deal with some freaky stuff from people who are on the win-lose side of things, because those people will just randomly see a huge potential for this person to really fall. They'll really see that if this person falls, they're like a giant metaphysically. They're like a mental giant. So if they fall, then that would be like a huge pie in the face situation. A huge situation like that. So then you deal with some really freaky stuff if you're on the win-win team. And even me saying that, they would absorb that most likely as like, I just said win-win. That means I won. No, I didn't. Like they'll be very good at what they do, but they're very congruent with their stuff. But they're just a little bit on the narcissistic side of things and too competitive. You know, lose is people that just have like a lot of traumas, you know, a lot of traumas. Let's just say that much. And I feel bad for everyone, but that's part of being a win-win, is you'll look at everyone and just you at least kind of just care. Like, and it can take some time to get there, but yeah, but the win-win is what you ultimately want to get to, and that's what God really seems to appreciate. Where anyone is like, kind of, you actually understand that that's like kind of like family, like in a way. You actually understand that part, you know? And people can say this or that, but just using common sense, a lot of people really don't in this world. They're just too competitive and too narcissistic, and it's something that if they take that journey within the soul and they find different tools and things to slowly entrain their subconscious and start to question these things, however they do it, you know, but just that intention initially, things will brighten up, because I've seen some serious, like, for example, an example of that would be like how you always, whenever someone fails on the internet, there's some big fail, like something comes out, this person failed, people see that as a huge opportunity to have like the pie in the face using the internet, and it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. But the thing that'll do it the fastest to get you to really question like what gets you to like peel back the lens and the layers of your subconscious is dabbling with vegetarian, first off. Second off, there's many things you can do, but these, it's really hard to explain, but like, for example, I would assume that the controllers of the world are doing like hella drugs. I would assume that. It's funny because drugs are illegal in most places. That's funny. But they most likely, a lot of the drugs are confiscated. When they confiscate like kilos and kilos and kilos of cocaine or meth or whatever, where do you think that all goes? Like, what do they do? I mean, I guess they burn it all, I guess. But I bet some of that just goes like to where they don't even have to do any work and they just get to do them. I bet. I would assume so. Because if it's a battle for power, because there's the understanding that of just thinking about like the movie Limitless. Just think about that concept for a second. It's kind of like just that idea that weed, cocaine, there's things you can do that get you crazy amounts of like understanding and creative states, and it's very douchey, but like it's true. It's like true that these things basically do that. And some people view that as they want to have those drugs while other people don't get to have them. That's how they want their reality to be. And if you see it from God's eyes, these ideas are not sustainable. This doesn't work. If things don't flow initially with business and stuff, then it's not going to work. Like, it doesn't. This has worked for a long time, but the tax, this has worked, controlling the world completely and attempting over and over again to have some new world order, some one world government, some really freaky stuff. That whole just force working to get all the tools, all the power of the ultimate power struggle against humanity. And it's worked, but at the tax of a lot of suffering. So obviously God is not okay with these things, because the people suffer for no reason. Now, he kind of puts people in suffering to get them to learn certain things so that they can build their wings on their own. But a lot of times, when people are just suffering and it never ends, God does not appreciate that. So, yeah, this is like this is just putting into perspective. Like, if you're like the kind of person that's not like just using common sense, just seeing where we're at, if you're not really a bully, you kind of stick up for people, and you see that like that you end up like dealing with a lot of negativity because of the ways you don't fit in with these things. You know, then you probably one of those people, like, you know that things are corrupt. Like, you know that, you know. Some people do not know that, do not have it in perspective, like how things are corrupt. They do not. Like, they don't get it. They think like weed being illegal is, for example, would be like, well, it's illegal because it's toxic to the brain, or it's smoke, it smells, it's bad. It's illegal because it's a fourth dimensional tool, and it's going to channel in the gods into this reality. Ultimately, that's not like a good way to put it. That I would have to break that down more and get more into that. I'm trying to be egoless with this. That's a whole thing of its own. Let's not get distracted. But that weed, for example, they would do it like, well, because weed's bad for you and it makes you lazy, or whatever they read about is the reason why it's illegal. And that's a whole thing of its own. The reason that's illegal, that's very sneaky. Just that one aspect alone. Many influences, if you see them all, then you have the same understanding. This is like a very, very shitty situation. You have to really, really fight for resources sometimes, and it gets really annoying. Like tooth and claw, like over certain resources, when it's like irrelevant. Like all those fights and all that stuff is like irrelevant. And so then you have like decent society, like the suburbs and stuff, where people are supposed to be living this heavenly life, and it's not always like that. And there's just a lot of stuff that we could just mutually understand. So I thought that someone could just randomly relate to this video. So yeah, I'll close out right there.